Hi, everybody. I'm Kathleen Byram, and I am the author of Conversations with Donkey, a Bipolar Journey. I'm going to do a reading tonight, or I should say this morning, on anger, the chapter Anger. I got mad the other day. Not just angry, crazy. I was riding along coming home and noticed someone on my butt. This used to drive me crazy, but somehow I lost notice of it at the last moment and made a right curve to pull in on the left. They tried to pass me. I slammed on the brakes and lost it. Where you feel like you're watching yourself. I was shrieking like a mad woman. They ended up driving on past. I pulled in my driveway and got inside and realized they know where I live now. And I became mildly concerned for the first time that they could be angry and come back later and do something. They could even be a close neighbor. I pondered all this and thought about the contrasts of my rage and my normal dull passivity of emotion. How can I feel so dull and also have such bouncy highs? Writing seems to be the stimulus that gets me going. When I write things that are meant to be loving, I become very emotional. There's a time and a place for anger. I'm not using it properly. It's coming to my attention that maybe I shouldn't be as calm as I've been, that being emotionally calm isn't a great thing to aspire to. This may not seem logical, but I haven't become calm. I've become dully passive at times. I feel like the last 5 years have been of huge significance to me. I feel that the last presidency term caused me so much distress that I internalized it. So has repeatedly losing friends and family, deaths, I mean, and hugely my father's decline in health. It's not good for me to internalize stuff. I need to speak my mind in written form and get it out. That's what I do. I'm in the wilderness now with this subject. I don't know what is going on with me, but I need to figure out what it is and express myself rationally and logically. Except that's not what I really do well. What I really do well is emote. I use emote, which is often associated with an actor, but not always. I want to make this distinction because my desire is transparency, and I would hate if anyone thought I was acting or fake. So yeah, I tend to show emotion in a theatrical manner, and I might have learned in my household not to show anger. That just reminded me that I've always associated humor with anger. I remember being very young and reading Mad Magazine and loving the characters' drawings. I think it was Al Jaffe or Jaffe that thrilled me first. His hefty, round female figures prancing along on pointy feet amused me to no end. When he drew an enraged person, I was beside myself with laughter. I found rage to be explosively funny. I, of course, was not permitted to be enraged. I was told at an early age by Mom that when I felt the need, I could scream into a pillow. Dad would rage, Mom would be calm and listen and try to apply emotional balm, and my guts would churn. I twisted this somehow because I came to find angry, impotently furious people hilarious, but only if they couldn't hurt me. If there was any way they could punish me for laughing at them, I wouldn't be laughing. I have a horrible, horrible shame at something I did when I was little. My cousin had to have some kind of leg devices on him when he slept. He was in his room screaming in distress over his imprisonment, and I was wriggling with glee and laughter in my bed in the other room. His mother looked at me and smiled the kindest smile and said, "You don't like him very much, do you?" Well, I was mortified, of course, as I should have been. I felt sickened at what I had done. I did like that boy. I found him adorable. Here's what I think happened now that I'm writing about it. I think he was expressing what I was not allowed to express, and I felt glee about that. I wasn't happy that I was sad. It was something else. It was an act of fury and unleashed frustration, something I would never have been allowed to do. I was safe in bed with no one hurting me, listening to someone yell, and nothing was going to happen to me because of it. I did not have to worry that someone would come into my room and get me. I don't know why I would worry about this. This is my only thought of how I can explain what I did. I feel horrid about it. I just realized something else. About the time I lost my anger, I lost my sense of humor. Today I amused myself gigantically. Terry said, "Knock, knock," as precedes a joke, and I decided to write, "I know it's you, Terry." And this sent me into peals of laughter. It was weird to be laughing so much. Joking about disguising oneself may be stressful to me. I remember a horrific nightmare where Superman was bald in the shower. I was terrified. This, I suppose, said to me that someone was misrepresenting themselves. That scares me. Now I've noticed my eyes are wide. I'm getting into scary psychological territory here. When I was 14, I watched Play Misty for Me with Clint Eastwood. I had never seen a horror movie. This was not horror. It was kind of a romantic thriller, I suppose. Anyway, Jessica Walter had black hair like my dad. She was a terror in the movie. After the movie, I was freaked out, and Mom came into my room to be with me while I dressed for bed. Dad, wanting to check on me, decided to peek his head around the door to take a look. I saw his black hair, and I made the association and lost it. I leaped up on the bed and screamed and screamed and screamed. I hold stuff within. I suspect I am holding much in. How I get into that, I will leave for the next paper. Now, there's anger part 2, holding it in. I have no idea where to begin. I've been holding it in all my life. As I told you before, when I was in a baby bed, I would hold my breath and pass out from the yelling in the apartment. I watched my father emote for 56 years, and I wasn't supposed to act that way. You know, that's hard to expect a child to act differently than the way his parents are modeling in front of him. When a parent models poor behavior, the child watches it and repeats it, and then gets blamed and screamed at for it. Something happened, though, when I was about 14. I remember so clearly where we were standing. I was standing in front of the closet, listening to him interrogate and yell at me. I don't remember what for. You hear that? I don't remember what for. What good did it do to have a fit when I don't even remember what I did wrong? Once, not long ago, I explained he was crying wolf. But back to the story. He was grouching along, and I had this thought in my head. Kiss off, asshole. This is not my language or the kind of expression that appealed to me. I found it crude and a turnoff. I hated that it was in my head. I was listening respectfully and watching with reserve when all of a sudden, oh my God, it came out of my mouth. I, the social wuss of the century, said, "Kiss off, asshole," to my father. His face sank. Mine, I am sure, was priceless. I was so horrified I didn't even apologize. I just stared, waiting for my punishment. He turned and left and never said another word about it, ever. Later, I talked to Mom about it. She said he came to her and said, "Can you believe she said that?" And her response? "Well, Frank, you were probably worrying the hell out of her." I can hear her calmly saying that in my mind. Holding in anger is dangerous because it can seep out or explode. I remember being bullied one day at the lockers and a sudden explosion coming out of me. I howled. They were terrified and probably ran. An adult was fetched. I don't remember a lot after that. So yeah, I hold things in and I'm apt to explode. I don't have many angry episodes to share because I was never a person who was comfortable expressing anger. I'm afraid if I get angry, I will lose control. What are some other thoughts on anger? I should be angry at some people, and I'm not. Oh, look, there's the cat. At least it doesn't feel like I am. The woman who interfered with my relationship with my first husband, she was an asshole. Yes, an asshole. She had redeeming qualities, but she was bound and determined to be disrespectful of me. I ended up living with her in a situation that was insane. Once I came home to my bedroom and found vomit all over my bed. I was informed her guest did this after she fed him spaghetti. I was expected to clean up the mess myself. What good does it do to become angry? Well, sometimes it helps. Sometimes it stops a bully. Sometimes I was afraid and had to pretend to be angry to stop the crap. I'm struggling here to express. Do I have anger that is pressed so far down inside I can't get it out? I thought I had gotten rid of all that. I thought I had worked on this. I thought it was gone. But now I can't seem to even get angry. Horrible things are happening right now. Arizona just passed a law saying you can't video the cops. Am I angry? No, just tired. Now I want to say as an aside that this was written a few years ago. And so this law that I'm talking about, it didn't just happen. It's been a while. But let someone do something petty and irritating, and maybe I'll explode. It's frightening. What is my rage capable of doing? What kind of trouble will I get in? I find myself trying to psychically predict what will happen in a situation and getting mad thinking about the possibilities when nothing has even happened yet. I'm dancing around the subject but don't know how to get into it. I'll meditate and see if I can think of a time I was really angry. Sometimes I shake when I'm angry, and the feeling is so overpowering I cannot express it smoothly and politely. I hate this feeling. A petty act. A petty act can make me livid. I don't know why this is so. I can put up with all manner of atrocities until someone gets petty with me. Say puh. That was the headline on my email. Some context? Well, I was dating a man who had something wrong that caused him to walk in a severely affected manner. I cannot remember what was wrong. He was dishonest by not informing me of his disability, for lack of a better word. I watched him walk toward me in the parking lot and thought, why didn't he tell me? I wouldn't have cared. Anyway, in one of my letters I later wrote to him, I said, I say, puh, meaning I poo-poo the idea that his disability would cause me to not be interested. By the way, this was not something that I brought up myself. That would have been horrific. It was something that he expressed, I think, somehow. And that's how I responded to it, by saying, huh, I say, puh. So he writes me a letter. I don't see it at first. I get another, and its title, Say Puh. He thought I had ghosted him because I didn't answer his first letter, and assumed if I had, it would be because of his disability. That is so incredibly insulting. Not because of anything about his personality. Nope, must be the disability. This infuriated me. When I saw the petty say puh needling, it made my blood boil. He was a neat guy. He sang for me and played the guitar and bought for me a bottle of some kind of liquor. I was a raging drunk and drank it all. When he discovered this, he ghosted me. He just decided I was a drunk. That's cool. I totally understood that. But then later there was a kerfluffle. He wanted to have his cake and eat it too. See, he wanted to tell me that he wasn't going to see me because of my drinking. But when I accepted this and told him he was probably right, that's when he got butthurt. I ended up being screamed at by a platonic friend of his who was supposed to be fixing his computer situation, and went through his mail and decided I would rather be an alcoholic than date her friend, who, I was told, had plenty of other women to choose from. She repeatedly tried to pound that into my head. Fine, I do not care. Puh. I fear that I do not get angry enough at atrocities. When I read about things or see them in the news, it just deepens my despair. It doesn't anger me, it just further exhausts and saddens me. I am afraid this is happening to all of us. What is going to become of us? It appears Russia is going to invade Ukraine. How can this be? How can we allow such an act? One little emoting donkey cannot stand up to the world and say, what the are you doing? And have a reasonable response. I'm not getting anything accomplished here. This is supposed to be a process paper. I think I know what that means. Maybe not. I'm supposed to be figuring out my anger problems here. This is usually how I work my magic. by writing, except it's not working. Let me scoot around here and adjust myself. I can be cruel. I can get so angry, so cold. Revenge is best served cold. I don't like revenge. Revenge sickens me. There was a guy I'd been seeing. I was his girlfriend. This was a fact. Well, the subject came up, and he had the nerve to inform me I was not, in fact, his girlfriend. This did not sit well with me. I thought and thought about it. Cold anger. I cut him off and shut down the candy shop, so to speak, for 10 years. He called me every other day for what felt like over a month, leaving messages. Eventually, he said he loved me. I knew it was bullshit. I enjoyed those calls. I enjoyed feeling powerful. For 10 years, I held that grudge. Why can't I get mad like a normal person? Why don't atrocities infuriate me? Is it because I can't do anything about them? That I don't want to feel badly if I cannot make it stop? I'll tell you why I'm mad at him. I know the answer. It was pettiness. It was a conversation about theft. I disagreed with his brother, who was a psychiatrist. He had stated that thievery was learned, not innate. I asked my boyfriend, who taught my son to steal. No answer. He smugly held his belief, and this infuriated me. I, for some reason, felt superior in my belief and was angry at him for not siding with me. Can you believe that? I think that is what drove my anger. What's wrong with me? Okay, it has been about a half hour now, and no one has shown up. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If I can get my little cursor going here. Okay, I'm Kathleen Byram. That was Conversations with Dawnkey, a Bipolar Journey, that I was reading from. It's available at Amazon, and it's available online at Barnes & Noble and Walmart. And at Amazon, it runs around $9. Sometimes it's as low as $4. At Barnes & Noble, it runs $23.99, I believe, which is the list price at Amazon. Now I want to say, I forgot what I wanted to say, dang it. So that's going to be it. Thank you very much for listening to this. If you play it again and listen. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.